Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another book chat, an indoors book chat this time, because I was trying to wait the weather out so I could do the sitting outside in the smug thing briefly in a t-shirt, going, sitting outside in the smug, sitting outside in the sun, being smug. um, in a t-shirt going, oh look, New Zealand winter's so lovely, but then New Zealand winter's gone. Yeah, no you don't. So we have a lot of wind and a lot of rain, and it's not meant to stop for a while, as you can see. And you may even be able to hear it in the background as well. So yes, I'm staying inside where it's dry and warm. I haven't even been walking for 2 days. I keep looking out going, no, maybe not today. And the amazing thing is, I guess it was a year and a half, I was running in fells in the middle of the Yorkshire winter, and I distinctly remember one day getting hailed on several times, and another day where I was actually wading through knee-deep snow at one point because the path had vanished. But I knew where the path was, so it wasn't dangerous. I'd run it many times. I knew where it was and I knew where I was going, so I wasn't going to fall off anything. But somehow, I have completely forgotten that in the last 18 months. As far as I'm concerned, this is freezing. I'm not going out there. Absolutely not. Acclimatization is an amazing thing. Anyway, not here to talk about the weather. Here to talk about books. Am I reading for the last month? So, reading is something that, I mean, it's home for me. Books are home. So no matter where I am in the world, I always come back to books. If you have read the blog already, you can fast forward this bit because I'm kind of going to talk about a similar thing. But if you're on YouTube, here we go. So, yeah, basically since I was very small, I was sitting on the floor, so that is very small. Books have always been there for me. They've been my entertainment, they've been my self-care, they've been my distraction, to the extent that I distinctly remember getting shouted at several times while growing up on the boat because we were sailing somewhere beautiful and I'd be, nose in the book refusing to come out. It was an exciting part of the book, I'm sure of it. So reading for me is a constant. It's one of the few constants that have just remained with me for all my life, which is why it gets really weird when I lose the ability to concentrate in my reading. And as you might remember from last week's, or week before last blog post, if you read that, distraction is everywhere right now, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know it is all the time, but right at the moment, I'm distractible massively. And this means I'm actually really struggling to read, which is annoying because I love reading and I know if I can get back into it, I will love it again. But I've also just gone, you know what? Everything's a bit weird. Life's a bit weird. The world's a bit weird. I've got a whole lot of stuff coming up, which I'm going to tell you about in the next one, which means that things are going to get hectic around here again, like they haven't been for the past year. Yay! And so there's just a lot of thoughts going on in my head, and concentrating on reading is really not working. And I've decided that's okay. And it made me think that maybe a lot of other people have also been struggling with this, that between the pandemic, the climate situation, the political situation, everything else that's kind of like the world is falling down, which is what it feels like a lot of the time when I open the news. It's not surprising that it is hard to actually immerse ourselves in the fantasy world at the moment, that it's hard to step outside and actually really invest in a character and be drawn into that world. And it does take a certain amount of focus and concentration in order to enable yourself to fall into a story. And it did make me think that maybe, well, not maybe, I think definitely it's something a lot of us are struggling with at the moment. And you know what, it's okay, because the books are always going to be there. Stories are always going to be there. I mean, from beginning of man coming down and sort of going, oh, hairy mammoth over there, you wouldn't believe what happened. Woolly mammoth, yeah. Words as well. Words are bad at the moment. We've always told stories. That is who we are as a species, as stories. Our stories are where we come from, where we're going, what we hope for. They're everything about us, and so they will always be there. So it doesn't matter if we step back from reading for a bit, because the story's going to be there when we come back to them. And that is going to be my excuse when I probably look at my book tonight and instead end up doing a quiz about what sort of ice cream I am or something. Probably something really weird at the moment, like peanut butter and algae. I don't know. However, yes, well, first, permission slip. If you're not reading at the moment, it's okay. It's, everything is weird. Everything is still weird. Things are going to continue to be weird for quite a while. We've all got a lot going on. And the way that we are coping with it and the way that we are living, I think, is very much in flux at the moment. So that automatic thing of picking up a book every time you sit down or every time you go to bed isn't there anymore. Don't beat yourself up about it, lovely people. I still have that niggle of guilt. Like, oh man, I'm not reading enough books, and I know I need to read more books, and they'll be there. They'll be back. And if we read articles or if we watch really silly videos about photobombing ostriches, please go to my blog and look at that link, because it's beautiful and I love it so much. It's an ostrich called Emmanuel. These are the things I look at when I could be reading. But yeah, look after yourselves, lovely people. And if that means that forcing yourself to read isn't what's actually working for you, it's entirely okay. So what did I read? Right. Well, first one, How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. Completely bought it for the title. Of course I bought it for the title. It's an amazing title. And it's actually a really fun read. So we know from the beginning that our main character is incarcerated. She's writing this in jail. But we also know that she's in jail for a murder that she didn't commit, as opposed to all the ones that she actually has committed while she works through killing her entire family. And she's not a likable person. She's incredibly judgmental about absolutely everyone. She thinks she's better than everyone. And obviously also she's a serial killer, which doesn't really count in her favour. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was well written. The characters' observations are not nice, but they are very, very funny at the same time. And the ending wasn't... I wouldn't say I definitely saw it coming, but it was, you could see where it was going, but it was well done. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So it's just a fun, easy read. There's a bunch of murders in it, but it's not graphic or nasty or bloody or anything like that. It's very entertaining. So How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. Thoroughly enjoyed, would recommend. And now my Kindle's gone to sleep, so I've got to wait for it to wake up. It did very well. All right, so the other book that I managed to finish this month, man, I've been terrible, was Flesh and Blood by Andrew Shanahan. Now this is a sequel to Before and After, which is about Ben, our protagonist, who at the time of the first book is 300 pounds, I've forgotten exactly what weight it is, whether it was in pounds or kilos, but he is so overweight he can't actually get out of his flat, and they're taking him out of the flat on a crane so that he can go and have surgery because he has cancer, and he needs a leg amputated as well. And unfortunately, in the middle of this, it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse, but not your typical zombies. It's this rage which sweeps through everyone, and the people that are left are just constantly enraged if they see anything at all. And it's actually kind of a little bit funny as well. Ben is a great character. I really, really enjoyed the book, and he has this lovely little dog called Brown who is adorable, and obviously I have my horror of don't let anything happen to the dog, but you actually quite trust it in the book. And I will tell you now, Brown is fine. Through both books, Brown is fine, which is cool. So this is the sequel. So this is after he's managed to get him and Brown out of his apartment, and they're surviving in this post-apocalyptic or post-zombie, Roth zombie world. And it's really, really good. It's in it he finds someone else, and that there's, I don't want to give too much away, but essentially it is about survival and overcoming the odds still, and just, it's a really, really nice story, and Ben's great. Well, nice despite all the zombies and that kind of thing, but Ben's a really great character, and the new character that's brought in, so it's not just him and Brown or him and the dog, is also excellent. And there we go, Flesh and Blood by Andrew Shanahan. That was my other much enjoyed book this month. Now I have to go on to DNFs because, well, one DNF actually, because the other one I'm still working on. I was like, I'll put it in there just to show that I've done 4 books, but I haven't because I didn't finish it. And I am still working on it because it's a non-fiction and I often come and go with those. I'll tell you what it is anyway. So it's 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, but it doesn't want to open. Time Management for Mortals. And it's actually lovely. I've read I used to read his article and his column in The Guardian quite a lot. And essentially 4,000 weeks is how many weeks we have as humans on average. And it's about not how to maximize it as in maximizing productivity or anything like that, it's getting as much in as you can, but how to enjoy it and how to maybe relax a bit so that it's not this constant drive to be trying to cram as much in as possible. So it's not a productivity book, really. It's about philosophy. It's a philosophy book and life philosophy. So, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman, which is really good, but I am doing my usual non-fiction, dip in, read something else, dip in, read something else, but because I'm reading so slowly, this is probably going to take me about 6 months to finish. And it's nothing against it because it's written really, really well. It's very engaging. Okay, so my other DNF, and I was so disappointed, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Loved The Martian, other than the dialogue was so bad. Then Artemis. Artemis was the other one of his I read. Really enjoyed that. Great fun romp. And dialogue was much better. So I was really looking forward to this one. And essentially, these organisms have been discovered and they're dimming the sun. So there has to be a way to stop it because else we're going to be plunged into an ice age, and I think it was about 80% of the planet's going to die. And we start the book with a guy waking up, he can't even remember who he is, and he wakes up in a spaceship. And slowly his memory comes back. And as his memory comes back, then he starts remembering the situation of why he was on the spaceship, which was to try and find out about these organisms. And it turns into kind of a first contact thing because he finds another spaceship which has an alien on it who is looking for the same reasons. I got about halfway through. Willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, and maybe my head wasn't in it, but man, he's an annoying character. Wow. I mean, there's this whole thing about, oh, he's a school teacher, so he doesn't swear. But I'm sorry, if you wake up and you find yourself alone with 2 dead crewmates and discover you're not even in the right galaxy, I'm probably going to say more than gosh darn. So I found that really annoying. I found, that's kind of, I'm not saying it needed to be foul-mouthed or anything, but it was like the really weird old-fashioned swearing, and it was just strange, and it really pulls me out and started to really annoy me. The character himself I found really annoying as well. He's, just a bit this kind of almost an absent-minded professor. He's sort of this cool high school teacher, but he knows more than anyone else, and it was just a bit, there's something about him I didn't like. And then when he meets the alien, there's definitely this superiority that annoyed me as well. So I just eventually, in the end, I was just like, I can't read any more of this. And again, my reading patterns are all over the place. It might be that I'll go back to it at some stage and he won't annoy me as much and I won't get that same sense from it. But it was very much this thing of, it just felt like kind of coolest man in the universe meets alien and is better than alien as well. But he's a scientist, so it's okay. That's what it felt like. And sorry to everyone that enjoyed it. But yes, that was, I did not enjoy it. Okay, so that is my really terrible reading for the month, other than, all the weird quizzes about what sort of ice cream you are. So now, over to you, lovely people. How is your reading going? Have you been finding that your reading patterns have changed through these last really strange couple of years? Are you finding that reading is still the escape that it was for you? And what have you been enjoying this month? Let me know below. And yes, I shall see you next time. Bye. Oh, and check next week's blog post because there'll be a bunch of news about what's happening towards the end of the year. I know people have been asking about book release dates and that kind of thing, so I'm going to try and give you as much of an outline as I can next week. I'm still muddling out the details at the moment, but I've sort of got a lot happening between now and the end of the month. Oh, there hasn't been a lot happening between now and the end of the month, now and the end of the year. Not there hasn't also been a lot happening up until now in the year, which of course there has. Okay, I'll go now. Look after yourselves out there, lovely people, and yeah, remember, if the concentration's not there, if the enjoyment's not there, and whether it's reading or anything else that you used to love and you're finding you're not getting into it, don't worry about it. It's going to come back. Things are in adjustment at the moment. Things are different. Things are weird. Things are in flux. So just do what works for you. Do what you need to do to get through. Do what recharges you. And, maybe that is silly quizzes on the phone rather than reading. But, yeah, don't beat yourselves up about it. We'll see you next time.